What's up, everybody? It's your boy Andrew L. Casey. You are now tuned into the Middle Initial Podcast. Today is March 20th, 2023, and I'm here with my family. My family. For the first time ever, Judah's on vacation, Kevin's on vacation. We got my older brother Glenn in the building representing the Washington Commanders. We got my cousin Dale in the building representing the Dallas Cowboys. And we have my sister in the building representing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Toronto Maple Leafs because she is a Canadian native. This is how I like to start it. So I'm gonna say what's up to everybody. Glenn, what's going on? How you doing? All right, Glenn is muted. He's new. He's a rookie. He's still new. So we're gonna pass it on to Dean. How you doing?
I'm living the best life ever. Thank you.
Dale, what's going on, cuz?
I'm good from the north.
Up top, representing the six. Glenn, you got it together yet?
Yeah, let's start over. No, we all good. No, it showed not muted on my screen, but I got a button on this headphone that was muted. So, all right, we good.
There it is. So, this is a special request from my cousin Maxine. Shout out to you, Max. We're doing it. It's being done. I know you wanted to be here live for this, but you catch the recording. Make sure you guys tune in Wednesdays at 10 o'clock on YouTube. And the audio drops for this episode next week on the 27th. And also next week, we have DJ Benemy from ESPN next week. But let's get down to it, man. Let's get down to it. Let's explain first. We are in a group chat, and we do talk trash to each other about our respective teams. Dale and Nadine are both from Canada, right? And Glenn and I, from New York, represent the East Coast. You know what I mean? Brooklyn, stand up. We in the building. But we all have different flavors and varieties. I'm a Jets fan. I represent the Jets, my pendant. Glenn's a Commanders fan. We're going to get into why Glenn's a Commanders fan. A lot of people
still don't understand.
They don't, but I understand because it's an easy explanation. I understand. The hardest thing to explain probably is Dale being a Cowboys fan, but we'll get into that too.
I got a story for that.
You got a story for that. And Nadine is a Tampa fan because she moved to Tampa. I don't want to say how many years ago now, but you've been in Tampa for a long time, so you're pretty much a Tampa native. So she's definitely a Tampa fan, and you kind of betraying the Maple Leafs now, trying to with being a Tampa Bay Lightning fan as well. But
it's hockey season.
Dual coast, and we just lost it. She'll be back. But since we're here, we're gonna do the football trash talk. She'll be right back. Let's start it. Let's get it started with my brother Glenn. Glenn, you are a Washington Commanders fan, formerly the Washington.
Pay my cable. I got to pay my cable bill. Dang.
Formerly Washington Redskins. How did you become? I mean, being a New York native, Brooklyn native, and everything. How did you become a Commanders fan?
All right, I'll make this quick. When I was young enough to really understand and get into football, the Giants were already like in Jersey, and I don't know, for whatever reason, you always felt like New Jersey was a foreign country from New York, even though it's right across the bridge. And I've lived here more than half my life now, so go figure. Mm-hmm. But so I kind of never had an affinity with the Giants for some reason. I honestly, if I was to pick the two, I'd honestly say it was the Jets because the Jets were still around when I was
they're playing the Polo Grounds, right?
No, Shea. They're playing Shea Stadium, and then they and I just remember their last game there. Because the Jet fans, being who they are, tore the crap out of that stadium. They ripped the seats out. They tore the field up when they knew they were playing their last game there. So that was probably it. But with Washington, I think a lot of it started, honestly, with Joe Theismann. That guy was on every commercial. Mm-hmm. He was on the Canon commercials. He was doing all kinds of stuff. And of course, what really brought me to it is honestly he was playing electric football that you guys knew I always played.
Yeah, I wasn't allowed.
That was and Washington was a team that I got. They was one of the teams that was chosen. I was like, hey, I'll go with them. And like I said, Theismann was on that team, so I kind of had an affinity for them, and I kind of really started cheering them for them right then. And then of course, they won. They won that Super Bowl. When Riggins broke the tackle and rumbled with the Hogs and everything. So I've been running with them pretty much since the early 80s. So they're the only non-New York team I cheer for, so it'll never change. That's kind of what I've been riding with. And I don't call them that C word. That's why I'm wearing my. That's why I'm still wearing my Washington football team because I'm not buying any of that commit. You know
The
that
Commodores.
yeah the commies, the commodes. I've heard every
Commode. Oh, I
I've
didn't hear
heard
that one.
every iteration of that name, and I'll be so happy when Danny Boy sells the team. I don't care how much he's gonna get paid a lot of money for that team, but it'd be money well spent to see him go. So that's kind of
Yeah,
where
I
my
mean,
history comes from.
I thought you would have said Doug Williams because he was the first black quarterback to win the Super Bowl ever, right? First black quarterback to win
Yeah,
ever.
he was, but yeah, that was icing on the cake. But I was a fan before that, so
Right.
that's the reason why I said where I really became a fan. But yeah, that Super Bowl was big because they won right before right before my before I graduated, and I remember my first day of college, I had a Doug Williams jersey. I probably still have that Doug Williams jersey somewhere. I got from Odell's. I don't think it had his name on it, but it was a Washington jersey. That I wore the first when I was moving in on campus. So yeah, no, he definitely stands out for me. But yeah, that's where it started with Theismann, but of course, Doug Williams definitely made it put the icing on the cake, I guess you can say it there.
Absolutely.
It's kind of like that Public Enemy song when Flavor Flav said, "Yo, sit back, we got a black quarterback." So it was on one of the Public Enemy songs they were mentioning that. So yeah, no, that was big. That was really big.
Where did he start his career?
With the Bucks.
Just saying.
Yep, yeah, he took a beating down there.
Hey,
So
well, that's a good transition right there. The Dean wanted to take some of that shine. Our resident Tampa Bay Bucks fan, my sister. I mean, you've seen two Super Bowls. Going to the years of the creamsicle.
Yep.
The last place team. What 1-15 when they went?
Yeah, the Yucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're a better franchise for it. We got to see two championships.
Yep.
Kind of in a rebuild right now because Brady finally retired, go home to be a family man. Took him long enough. He's trying to get his wife back.
Chasing that kitten. Oh, sorry, that didn't sound right when you said get his wife back. Never mind. Sorry. Inappropriate.
Were you a Bucks fan before the move, or how did you become a Tampa Bay Bucks fan?
So I don't want to steal Dale's thunder about the Cowboys, but living in Toronto, you got to see two football teams. It was either the Bills or the Cowboys every Sunday, and that's basically it. So one time I was watching TSN, which is the Canadian equivalent of ESPN, and they did a story on Tony Dungy when he became the coach of the Bucks. And his story was phenomenal to me, not just because he was a black coach, but just the way he approached things. He's my example of walk softly and carry a big stick, because that's exactly what he did. Excuse me. So then I was looking at Tampa, and my friend and I was deciding to move down to Florida because I'm like, if I'm going to live in the US, I have to have sunshine, and picked Tampa, saw the stadium, and I was all in. So I've been a fan since before I came here, and was lucky enough, 2 years after moving here, we had a Super Bowl. I actually got home at 6:30 in the morning, the night we won the first one. Now I'm too old for all that, but first time was phenomenal.
That's what's up. I mean, I think I was a Bucks fan coming up with Mike Allstott, Warren Sapp, and things like that. I appreciated the first ring, and not so much the second one because Brady. I was hoping that it was the end for Brady, and Brady would go to Tampa Bay and just kind of ride off into the sunset, so to speak.
Yeah, first team to do it at home.
Right. So I didn't get a chance to get the comeuppance I wanted, but. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers have definitely turned their fortune, and I wish my team would do the same. Let's get Dale back into the stream.
I know. There you
Dale, go. It's your time to shine, because
he's in the basement.
Explain to the people.
I'm upstairs.
Oh, upstairs.
Explain to the people how you became a Cowboys fan living up in Toronto.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah, we got you.
Yeah, I got hit with the connection bug, so I got parts of what Naps was saying, but for the most part, I captured what my good old cousin G-Roy said. He touched on that electronic game in the Washington blanks. So growing up, when we used to go to Brooklyn in the summer, and all I could do was set up the team on that little board. I couldn't touch the Redskin blanks. Couldn't touch them. I couldn't look at them. And if there was a bad play, it was my fault. So I just started going to, like, I hated them. So, checking history, we could only get Channel 4 on Sundays. And usually you had a choice of Cowboys first game and whoever San Fran was playing the second game. And I just, started liking and leaning towards the Cowboys. Like, we're talking to the White days, man. Danny,
Tom
Randy,
Landry, the coach.
yeah, Too Tall. Like, it was way back. Dorsett was my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how we became the Cowboys. Is only because I could drive G-Roy crazy.
Yeah, that's Dale. It's bad enough when we play that stupid baseball game and he'd always be picking up. I'd call the what I call Stoudemire's kid, the washed up rookie or something. So he so I'd always Dale would always cheat in that baseball game because he always had to have the of course I'm picking the Yankees and he's picking up all these saying all these Blue Jays names and and of course he's got the cheat code, so he's winning most of the time. And
there's
okay,
no
the cheat code. No, the cheat code was letters. Those letters were SKILL.
Oh,
That's
Yeah.
the cheat code. For
Yeah,
everybody out there.
That was a good one.
You had that advantage, when I was up there playing. If if Uncle Charles had kicked me out the basement to practice, maybe I would have gotten a little better. But but yeah, so that would make sense that they'll pick the team that's our biggest rival.
Yep.
So, but these Cowboy fans, they like roaches. They everywhere. So there are more Dallas fans outside of Dallas than there are.
Glenn, who you married to? I'm sorry, who you married to?
Yeah, she ain't here. So, and she can't hear it anyway. Well, she can hear me, but she's not here. She's not in the house. So, but yeah,
Listen,
everywhere.
I'm surprised that I have a similar story as far as being like a Cowboys fan, because I couldn't touch the game either. So, but I became a Jets fan. I don't know why I became a Jets fan or when I became a Jets fan. I just know that I was a Jets fan very young, and I know they suck. A lot. I knew, like outside of Glenn, right, watching the game, mom watching the game, or my other brother watching the game, is like I knew who was bad. Like I knew Ken O'Brien was bad. I knew Al Toon was good. I knew Dennis Bird and those guys were good and stuff like that. But it was always something going on. You know what I mean? So I was definitely the opposition when it came to everything. I was a Jets fan. I was the Mets fan. Coming up. And my team is the worst out of all the three. Like, everyone has seen their team win a championship except for me. So, like, unfortunately, for me, I haven't seen my team go to the Super Bowl. Haven't seen them win a Super Bowl in my lifetime. I know we're supposed to be on the verge of getting Aaron Rodgers and everything like that, and apparently getting close to a Super Bowl. Some people may think, but I don't know. It's a long way to go, and that's what it is for me. So that's how we all became who we are. But let's jump into the offseason real quick.
I have one question. I have one question before you start. Aaron Rodgers, is he following Brett Favre's legacy? So is he going to be in Minnesota after next season? I just want to know.
I highly doubt that. But if there's anybody mimicking Brett Favre, like almost step for step, it is Aaron Rodgers. Like, it's just, I don't understand. Outside of the addiction to painkillers and maybe showing your underage babysitter your private parts, and
And the
stealing
welfare
money from
fraud.
welfare, right?
Yep.
Welfare fraud. Hopefully, he avoids all of those things, and it's just vaccine and conspiracy theories and ayahuasca and stuff like that, and darkness retreats. He's towing the line, he's towing the line. So he's like borderline MAGA hippie, whatever. So we'll see. He's kind of like Kyrie Irving, so to speak. I guess.
Yeah, he seriously a strange bird. I just never realized. I thought he was like a cool guy who was doing that discount double check thing, and I'm like, oh, all right, But then he just started talking and just saying these weird things, and it's like, oh man, I think he on a little bit. I think he on that stuff.
The good. He's on the good.
Yeah, sticky icky. Hanging there with Snoop. I don't know. Maybe Snoop was in that dark cave with him or something, But yeah, he just. I mean, I think the thing you found out about him. Remember, his brother was on The Bachelor, and then they were supposed to meet family, and I don't think he wasn't there, right? Because he's all estranged
Aaron
from
Rodgers
them.
is not like his family.
Yeah, so he's just So yeah, I don't see Aaron Rodgers doing this type of podcast anytime soon, because he ain't getting none of his relatives to come on there with him. He's just being by himself, So yeah, I mean, he's talented, but he's just a strange guy. I can't put my finger on it, But I like I said, I kind of had affinity for the Jets. If it was between the two, because I always like to see them do well, and I rooted for them, pretty much every time they were close, and they end up falling short. So, so I got a soft spot for them, but I'm rocking with my team.
Yeah, I mean, listen,
for the most part,
the Jets are hard luck losers, and that's just what it is at this point in time. Hopefully, that stuff can change for us soon. Yeah, Joe Namath and Susie Comer. I just want to give you a kiss. Like,
I saw that live. I was
that was
who cares that
so
the Jets are struggling?
right. Who cares that the Jets are struggling? But but nothing comes easy, right? The Jets had to wait until August for Brett Favre, right? Because he retired and he wanted to go to Minnesota, and we all knew where he wanted to go. He came, played for us, and I think he dislocated his thumb and had a torn bicep. He played through it, which ended up, we only won one more game after we started 8-3. Matter of fact, that was the year. I think that was the year that me and Glenn went to the preseason game, the regular season game.
Yeah, it was a regular season game. Yeah,
regular season game. Yeah.
Yeah, my coworker got tickets, and sadly, that was the same year that Sean Taylor, lost his life.
Yeah.
And the thing was, if you remember that game, Andrew, he got hurt in that game. He got hurt in that game, and then so of course he was hurt, so he couldn't play for a few weeks. And before he passed, they said somebody broke into his house.
Right, the home invasion.
Broke into his house. They said he found a knife on the bed. So somebody had broken into his house, and then a few weeks later, I guess they broke in again, and he happened to be there, and then he unfortunately. So yeah, I always remember about that game, and I think honestly that game when we went, it was like my birthday, because was it me, you, and Curtis that went?
Was, 2008, right?
Yeah, remember, and it was it was my birthday, so that's why I got the tickets, and of course they were playing the Jets, so I'm like, Washington's at. So we went to the Meadowlands, and I remember just going to the stadium. We had to drive around the marathon because they had blocked off all the bridges, right? And you had to go, like through Sunset Park all the way, further down south before you could get around the parade route, because you could not go across Atlantic Avenue because of the marathon. So, we went to the game, and and I remember that, and actually I kept my Washington stuff under my coat, because Jet fans, they could be a little unruly. So but there was that kid sitting next to us who was like a Washington fan, and he was just torturing.
He
was just torturing his family that was with him. And then towards the end of the game, because I think we did end up winning that game, and he we were like high fiving. He's like, "Oh, you are a Washington fan too?" But I wasn't saying anything.
We lost. That was 2000 and actually 2007. That was the year before we got Favre.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
lost
that's right.
23. We lost 23-20.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
we were trash that year.
yeah, no, I remember
That
that
year?
game, but that's when
Sorry.
that's when
I'm not
Shots
saying
fired.
nothing. I'm
like
not
I
saying
said,
Shots
nothing because I'm not going to go full on Stephen A. Smith on Dale in Dallas and like accident waiting to happen. We're going to get into that. We're going to get into that.
Yep.
So the offseason stuff right now, the Jets aren't really doing nothing. Can't really do anything because they're kind of being held up by this Aaron Rodgers trade, and there's the little signings here and there, guys that just end up on different teams. The Bucks are not really doing anything either. Kind of offseason moves right now. It seems like they're going to wait until 2024 until contracts are up. I don't know who your quarterback's going to be. Who's your quarterback?
Baker Mayfield.
That's right.
Yes.
freaking
Sorry. That's right.
Mayfield.
That's
What?
right. We have to talk about that. We have to
Yeah,
talk about that.
no. I hope he
Baker-
saved his money from those commercials because I'm just saying. I loved those commercials. That's all I got.
Baker
Nah.
Mayfield had a quote. He said he's never going to beat Tom Brady. Duh. Like,
No
did
shit.
You,
You're like, yeah.
did you have to say that, Baker? Like,
And then he
gotta
say,
do
let's
that.
bake? Who's like, this is like Jameis with, I'm going to eat a win. Guess what you did? Okay, stick to the crab legs because that's as far as close to a win as you got. And look what's going on now with the Saints. Sorry, I'm going to get all riled up again. Baker Mayfield.
Baker Mayfield. But I mean, what do you think the Bucks are trying to do? Are they trying to be? Because I mean, the NFC is not that strong this year.
South.
not the South.
Nah.
No, well, definitely not the South. Do you
No.
think they're saying, hey, just enough? Because Carolina's going to probably start a rookie. The Saints are starting Derek Carr, which I mean, pretty much might as well be a playoff spot, right? And then the Falcons decided to say, oh, we're too good for Lamar Jackson, which makes no sense.
Yeah,
So
no,
do you
they're
think
dumb.
Tampa got Baker Mayfield because they feel like maybe 8-9, 9-8 will squeak in to get to the playoffs?
Was good enough for Brady, wasn't it?
Mm.
8-9. But here's the thing. So former Jets coach Todd Bowles is all behind Trask, right? He's our dude. He looks good. And then we signed Baker. So is Baker starting? Because Baker's ready to bake. And I don't know, I don't even know if weed's legal here, but I don't know what he's baking. It may not be a game or a win. Might be something else. Some trees. So all I want, I'm just like, okay, is it Trask? Is it Baker? Now Baker had some flashes at the end of the season. What team did he go to right at the end?
The Rams.
Yeah, he looked aight, but
Okay.
there's been some other quarterbacks that looked aight when they got they filled in for a minute. So Dalton looked good last year. Sorry, I almost said that with a straight face. But I mean,
he got a deal, didn't he?
Yeah, he just did. Yeah, he got somewhere. So
Yeah,
I get it, but I'm like Baker and 1 year. So what does that mean? We might have has signed Johnny Manziel. That's how I feel.
Yeah.
I'm not. No.
Yeah, I mean, Baker's been on 4 teams in 2 years, basically, right?
Yeah.
So
what happened?
yeah, that's a lot. I mean, for an overall number 1 overall pick to move around that much,
right?
And the thing is, he showed some promise, but I guess, and I can't stand Skip Bayless. He praises him all the time and makes excuses for him. And I'll and look, I don't know, maybe with some stability he might be able to do something. He's still relatively young, I guess. Maybe there's a chance that with him in Cleveland is he had a bunch of coaches and coordinators, but then Shannon hit Skip with a fact. He's like, well, if he played better, they wouldn't have lost their job. So he said he got them all fired. So I'm like, oh, that's a good point.
Remember when he did to Hugh? When Hugh Jackson got fired? He was talking smack. Yeah. Todd Bowles is not the quarterback whisperer. We had that in Arians. And while Arians is a Bowles supporter, Bowles is not. He's defense. He's not an offensive coach.
I got love for Bowles because of course he was a former Washington football player, so I definitely got love for him there. But I could definitely I think you've seen it with Bowles is he's a really good coordinator, and when it comes to head coaching, he's always struggled. Now maybe if he had that that guru offensive coordinator that really took charge of it and he really kind of left it alone,
I mean, wasn't that
they
supposed to be
might they
Byron
will.
Leftwich though? That was the whole
Yeah.
thing. Like Byron
Yeah.
Leftwich was supposed to be that guy, and he
Yeah.
fired him. So it's like,
Yeah.
all right, you like, and that's which is kind of crazy because Arians made everyone feel like he left the team in good hands. Like, all right, Bowles is impressive. You got this like, was it like all black coaching staff and stuff like that. Hey, we're gonna do good. And the first year of him being gone, all right, Byron, you're out of here, you're fired. Like that's like, so I sort of, for me, just looking at that, like, all right, that's already a red flag. It's not gonna be long till Bowles might be the next one going out, and Tampa Bay might be looking for a whole new regime yet again. After the Super Bowl. Yeah, after the Super Bowl. Because the same thing happened with Gruden. Like, Gruden won the Super Bowl, and then the following year it was like things started going down until the point where it's like, all right, this is not working out. And then Tampa Bay was kind of, in limbo for a while as far as talent and coaching is concerned, quarterbacks are concerned. I mean, they never really had a quarterback at the time. It was Brad Johnson. Sean King had entered the building a couple of times. But it's something that is something to look, I don't know if they look forward to, but to look out for. What's Tampa Bay going to do with Baker Mayfield, and how is this going to play out, especially following Tom Brady? The Washington football team, aka the Commanders, aka the Commodes, they're in an interesting position as well. With the whole thing surrounding Dan Snyder, whether or not he's going to sell the team, when he's going to sell the team, the owners meeting, they did meet this week. I think the first day of the owner meeting was today. I believe they're going to extend the commissioner. He's supposed to be getting some big, huge contract to come back for like 5 years, something like that. That's one of the things on the docket is going to be Dan Snyder and selling the team. I don't think it happens this season. I think there is an exit strategy. But what do you think, Glenn, is going to be the future for the Commanders? Like, who's your quarterback? What's that roster comprised of?
So hold on, he's looking for a quarterback.
Yeah, coming.
No, we don't want yours. So you keep him over there.
I was gonna say we could make a show Biggest Loser and.
Oh yes. Oh, there we go.
Hey, nobody wants to be your quarterback. Nobody wants to be your quarterback.
They brought in Jacoby Brissett as a backup.
Brissett. They brought Brissett in to compete. They're going to give that second year player now, Howell, who beat who's that team they beat that last week. Yeah, he's gonna get a chance to battle for that position. Look, our team has pretty good offensive talent and weapons. They showed up their offensive line, which was definitely a weak spot. They've kept their D line intact. They pretty much got like a number one. Their whole front line is all number one picks. Their linebackers, they shored up, and they had a pretty decent secondary. I'm not a fan of Del Rio as our D coordinator because sometimes he does some questionable things. I'm like watch some of these games, and I'm like, I don't know. It seems like every time I watch them, there's like a big 3rd and long, like 14, and we're giving up first downs, and it's nothing more frustrating than that. That should be you're down to be getting off the field, and for some reason. Honestly, if they looked up the stat, I'm sure we're at the bottom of the league on those 3rd and longs because, as good as our D line is, don't get me wrong, we don't generate a lot of sacks. Hopefully Chase Young starts to step up to be that top 2 pick that he was. He's come off a knee injury. We'll see what happens there. I mean, we do have talent. Our shortcoming was. At times with that quarterback, I love Taylor Heineke, but he was not the long-term solution. It's just, he could come in and fill a spot. I was somewhat optimistic about Carson Wentz, but then I found it, then I realized he just didn't have it anymore. And I think Riverboat Ron is he's honestly I wouldn't be totally sad if he was gone per se, because he made some questionable decisions. He should have never brought once, when Carson was well again, he should have just left him on the bench. He should have said, look, I'll play Taylor or I'm gonna play this rookie. And the fact that, if Taylor was struggling, then bring the rookie in and see what he can do. But he brought in, that we had a chance to make the playoffs. and there was no reason we should have lost to Cleveland, and we did. And we did because Carson played like a bum. That guy,
Yeah.
he put him on a poster with many of them that stole a lot of money. And he did. He stole a lot of money, about 25 mil. So
With
yeah,
Matt
he ain't
Flynn.
crying,
Put him
but
next to Matt Flynn.
but the fans are, because he cost us a chance to somehow to possibly get into the playoffs, and that's just another one of those